Hey guys, it's Codex947 and welcome back to my second bonus video for my Silent Hill Let's Play. This bonus video is going to be about enemies and bosses and their symbolism. Now, I'm going to be talking about the enemies in order of appearance, or as close to order of appearance as I can get. Might have forgotten that one enemy appears before another enemy, so it's as close as I could get with it. And also, some of the symbolism that I'm going to be talking about is just speculation. So I guess without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, that are located in both the alleyway when you first begin the game and the school. These are known as Gray Children. They are found only in the US version, so if you're in Europe and you've played the PAL version, you would have found mumblers in the school where the Gray Children are. And they are Alyssa's distorted perception of her classmates. You know, they made fun of her and everything. They're generally just evil kids. You know this when you read The Desk in Nowhere. And they're reminders of their torment and ridicule of her. Next are air screamers. These are the pterodactyl-looking enemies that you encounter first in the cafe and then throughout Silent Hill for the rest of the game. They are manifestations of a illustration from The Lost World, which is Alyssa's favorite book. And it's also believed that, quite possibly, they might also represent the classical idea of a demon. You know, the air screamer is red. It looks kind of human-like, with human-like legs, and then the upper torso has wings. So it could be a demon, could represent a demon. But that's one of those speculations that isn't quite confirmed. Next we have a groaner. Groaners are the dog enemies that you find throughout Silent Hill. And they are manifestations of Alyssa's fear of dogs. So she had a very, very big fear of dogs. But then it's also believed that they could possibly represent Alyssa's dislike of her own appearance after she's burned in the fire. You know, she's covered in scars and burn marks. So it could possibly be that reason too. Next we have larval stalkers. These are found in the school, first in the school, and then in the amusement park later. They could represent Alyssa, actually. You know, she feels translucent and not, like, her full identity is not being recognized by her classmates. You know, as shown by the fact that the larval stalkers are just shadows. But then it could also represent her wanting to feel comforted by her mother, who, as we know, pretty much just used her for the Order's plans. And this is kind of reinforced by the fact that the larval stalkers will, like, kind of circle Harry, they'll stumble around him and everything, and it's kind of like how a kid just hangs around an adult. Next we have the creeper. The creeper are the insect enemies that you find in the school and in the sewers. Creepers are one of the many enemies that represent Alyssa's dislike for insects that are not butterflies. But, interestingly enough, they could also represent the protagonist. You know, the protagonist is usually, you know, like Harry, is just some guy who just wanted to take his kid on a vacation, and he ended up getting sucked into this whole Order business, and he's now fighting this massive force, and he could be represented by the creeper, who is the easiest enemy in the game. It takes literally one pistol shot to kill them. Next is Splitmouth, who is the first boss in the game. You encounter him in the basement of the school, and he is a manifestation of Alyssa's imagination. As we know, there's that fairy tale about the hunter and the lizard in the library that Alyssa has read many times because she loves fairy tales. And she would imagine that every time when the school's boiler would kick on and she would hear that sound, she would imagine that that lizard is living in the basements of the school. Next we have the puppet nurse. Puppet nurses are found in the hospital. There are two variants of them, the green shirt and the blue shirt. And they are also found in Nowhere. And they represent Alyssa's fear and hate for the nurses, since she spent most of her life in the hospital after the fire. They, as well as the puppet doctors, represent Alessa's belief that the doctors and nurses were used as puppets for the cult, for the order. Next we have bloodsucker. Now the bloodsucker is that leech enemy that you find in the hospital, but he's also the enemy that is locked in the fridge. They have to use the ring of contract on to keep it inside. And it also represents Alessa's dislike for insects, but it could also represent being sucked into something, because, leeches suck blood out of things. So it could represent that. It could represent Harry being sucked into the Order's business, when he's just trying to go on a vacation in Silent Hill. And it could also represent Alessa being sucked into her mother's plans. She didn't want to be the mother of God, but she was kind of forced into it by her own mother. Next we have wormheads and night flutters. I kind of grouped these guys together because they have the same symbolism and everything. They are found in alternate Silent Hill, so you won't find them in the normal Silent Hill, only when everything is turned to barbed wire and chain link fence. And it represents the deformative power that Alessa's nightmares cause, or when Silent Hill shifts into the other world. But it could also represent Harry's belief that he is losing his mind. This could be represented by the fact that both the wormhead and the night flutter's heads are surrounded in this wave of worms. And as we know, worms are known as decomposers, so it could represent the fact that Harry believes his mind is, decomposing and that he's losing his grip on sanity. Next we have the romper. The rompers are found throughout Silent Hill later on in the game, and they represent Alessa's fear of adults and the Order, and overbearing people in general, as seen by how they kind of force Harry onto the ground when they attack him. This could represent the Order forcing Alessa into their plans to reincarnate God. Then we have Twin Feeler, who was the larva enemy that you find in the mall, the second boss of the game. And it also represents Alessa's fear of insects, but he could also represent arrested development by the fact that he is a giant caterpillar, and thus it kind of represents Alessa, since Alessa's development was stopped when she became impregnated with the Order's God, and when she split her soul in half, she arrested the development of the Order's God inside of her, and thus that bloated appearance of the Twin Feeler could represent her own feelings towards herself. Then we have Float Stinger. This is the moth boss that you fight on the rooftop across from the hospital, and is representing Alessa's and Cheryl's souls joining into one, and as a result, maturing into the full thing. Next we have Hanged Snatchers, the enemies that we find throughout the sewers, and these guys also represent Alessa's fear of insects, as well as my fear of sewers, apparently, because I hate these guys, and they represent the Order, and how it's kind of hidden in the background, and it comes out at the last second. Next, we have the Mumbler, the enemies with the claws that you find right at the end of the amusement park sewers, if you're playing the American version, or in the school, if you're playing the PAL version. It is believed that they represent demons in the fairy tales that Alessa read as a child, but they could also represent the same thing as the Grey Children. Next we have the Parasite and Possessed Sybil. Possessed Sybil isn't really a part of this, but the Parasite isn't part of it. It is the forced boss, and you fight it in the amusement park. The Parasite represents the parasitic nature of the Order's God on Alessa. It feeds off of Alessa's fear and hate, much like how the Parasite was feeding off of Sybil and the nurses and the doctors. The last normal enemy of the game is the Stalker. You find them only in Nowhere. In fact, the adult form of the larval stalkers. And they represent Alessa's anger at her classmates finally becoming shown. Next, we have the final boss that I showed on my Let's Play. We have the Incubus. This is the final boss for the Good Plus and Good ending. And it is the manifestation of Dahlia's image of the Order's God. It is mortal, though, due to Kaufman throwing the vial of Aglophidus onto Alessa when she and Cheryl's souls are finally merged together. Otherwise, it would have been unkillable. And then the last enemy I'm going to talk about is the other boss, the other final boss of the game. And this is the final boss that you would have fought if you had played the bad or the bad plus ending. And that final boss is the Incubator. It is Alessa's mental image of God. If you look at the Incubator compared to the Incubator is a much more pure and saint-like version of their god. It is a woman dressed all in white, and it in fact even looks like an adult version of Alessa. So perhaps she viewed herself as the Order's god when she went through this ritual. But that's it, everybody. That is the second bonus video for my Silent Hill Let's Play. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if I got anything wrong, or if you want to discuss some things, please leave comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. The final video for my Let's Play of Silent Hill will be out August 6th, which is a week from today. And then my Resident Evil Let's Play will begin August 10th. So, I hope you guys tune back in for my third bonus video. And I hope you guys come and see my Resident Evil Let's Play. So, I will see you guys then.